And we are back. Another outstanding episode of the Square Table Degenerates. Today we welcome Marine veteran and political activist Mr. Larry Sharpe to the show. How are you today, sir?
I am, for some reason, still kicking. I keep trying to make the world a better place. I keep failing, but I keep trying. So either I'm stubborn or stupid or something, but I just keep going. I don't know which one. Crazy, whatever.
What did you do? Then you guys didn't get. You're in New York City, right?
Sadly, yes. I accept your condolences.
Okay. So you weren't in the full eclipse zone. We had this past day. Man, it was just in Ohio. It was just great weather. You couldn't have asked for anything better. I was watching you earlier in the week. I watched one of your streams. You did say you have seen an eclipse in your life, so you know what it's like. It's amazing, man. You're sitting there. You're just like, what? This is mind-boggling. This is cool.
Yep, it's great. No, I'm happy, but I was too busy doing work as always. I spend most of my time on the phone trying to either yell at people or getting yelled at, and then the rest of the time I'm sitting here doing things like this. I'm doing a lot of shows. I've been kind of remiss. I've done most of my shows. I've been guests on in the last couple of weeks. I think I've only done probably 2 or 3 live shows where I've hosted a week for about a month. So this week I did a lot. I did 7 live shows this week and 4 where I was a guest. So I did a lot of content this week. Got to make up for some of the times I haven't been doing it.
Yeah, we got to get out the way before the weather turns nice, because you know how it is up here in the north, man. It's going to be nice for one day, and it's going to be shit and rain and whatever the hell is outside right now in Ohio the rest of the week.
Absolutely. Yes. But New York still, this is April. New York can still have snowstorms. That does still happen here. It does happen once in a while. New York still gets them here or there.
I remember the latest I remember was April 15th or so, right around now. Back in '87, we had like a foot. It doesn't happen too much like that, but there's still a possibility. But I looked at the forecast. We should be good to go up until 420 at least.
Good. There we go. And 420, that's all that matters, right?
Exactly.
There we go. Now we're good.
All right. So it says you were born a solid Gen Xer, like you were prime Gen X. You know what I mean? You were right in there. No. I'm
old Gen X.
Right. But you're like the first iteration of it. You're like the first.
Correct.
Version.
Yes. I'm old Gen X, right? The normal or the mid Gen X is like more like 1970 something, right? Early 70s. I was born late 60s. So I'm early Gen X. I'm right before baby boomers.
Right. You're right after they call us Gen X because they didn't know what to call us. And we're kind of forgotten just on the time. You got these boomers with these millennials. It's like, hello, there's a whole group of, 50 years.
No, we got hammered the most. We are the ones who are getting divorced. We're the ones who are hammered in the courts. We're the ones who are literally losing our jobs. We're the ones who are committing suicide. Gen X is the generation that has been lost and being devastated. The baby boomers kept all the money, and the millennials are the ones right now starting to run things. They're beginning to run things, and they're realizing how hard it is. So many of them have decided to check out also, but they're checking out into, many of them have become part of the professional managerial class, and they've kind of moved out into that I can work from home type thing. The biggest problem millennials are having is they can't find dates. They can't find happiness romantically. Gen Z has no chance of finding romance at all. Theirs is just gone. They have no chance. So the saddest part is now how can we make happiness happen in our country when we have 2 generations that are broken and beginning broken with the Gen X, because they all watched us, right? They look at us and go, wow, you guys were told that if you spent, 20 years at a company, you'd be able to retire and make money. That was a lie. You were told that if you got a 4-year degree, there'd be a great job sitting out there. That was a lie. You were told that if you were good to your spouse and didn't cheat, you would keep your marriage until you died. That was a lie. You were told that a court system was fair to you. That was a lie. And so everyone in Gen X is going, don't do what I did. Don't do it. Don't do it. My kids are Gen Z. And I'm like, don't do anything that I did. It was all a lie. Do nothing that I did. It's all a lie.
Well, I mean, on that point, do you think that what percentage of this system we got now is salvageable? I mean, we got, like, you got Gen Z kids. I think Gen Z's after 2010 or something like that. I got a 14 or 15-year-old. They're going to be that. I think that
it's Gen Z.
The one's birthday is coming up this week. That's coming up. That's Gen Z. But they don't know a life that wasn't online. I mean, the pandemic really took a lot of these kids' lives, like a good chunk of it.
Not the pandemic, the government lockdowns. Don't say pandemic because it's not the pandemic. It was the government lockdowns. It was the government response to the virus that screwed up. All viruses can do is harm people or kill them, or depending on the situation, or nothing. One of those three. That's all the virus can do. It can do nothing to you, it can harm you, or it can kill you. It can't shut down your school. It can't shut down your job. It can't ruin your career. It can't stop you from advancing in your life. It can't put you in jail. It can't do any of those things. Only government responses to them can do that.
So I'm going to go on a limb and say you were not a fan of Governor Cuomo's response to the supposed pandemic.
I literally did 6 hours of responses to it. It's on my YouTube page you want to go to. I did it in March 2020. And I said what I would have done as governor in March 2020. And you can go back 4 years ago and see what I said. It's right there on my YouTube page. It's a separate little thing. It's a separate playlist. You can check that out and you will see I was right in every single case. And I didn't know everything. I was some dude hanging out, getting locked down, can't go to go into Manhattan and make my money anymore. I got locked down and I expressed exactly how.
Well, on that note, did you experience, because I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, or the beginning of lockdowns, et cetera,
thank you.
There was a lot of, I like your vibe, man. You got some authority to you. You got some authority to you. I fucking dig that, man. I dig that. Not a lot of people will, everybody's like, you got some snippiness to you. I dig it. Now, at the beginning of that lockdown, did you experience any social media, I don't want to say blackout, but like, I mean, there was
100%. They devastated me. And my daughter didn't believe me. She goes, no, Dad, come on. My daughter's 20 now, so she was a teenager back then. She's like, come on, you just don't have good stuff. I said, here is my stuff. You look at it. Go into the back end of all my stuff. She goes and goes, holy crap. I was all of a sudden turned down. I was shadow banned by 85 to 90%. When I was doing my shows, with, I was having on John Mackey before he died, right? I had all these guys on, right? And I was getting easily 5,000, 6,000 views just on one of my platforms, just on Facebook or just on Twitter, right? I was getting thousands, tens of thousands when you count up on all things I streamed on. But I was getting one stream, 5,000. All of a sudden, I'm talking about lockdowns, 95% drop. Now I have to stream on 8 to get the same number. That is how bad it is. I must stream on 8, and it never recovered because everyone else kept getting bigger while I kept getting smaller. So now I'm still fighting to get back to where I was prior to 4 years ago. 100% yes. I was absolutely shadow banned.
Okay. I didn't talk much. I mean, we mentioned it here or there, but I didn't have any shows about it or anything like that. Yeah, it's that do you think anything like that's gonna happen? I mean, I don't want to say anything like that
yes.
happen. You think so? Okay.
Why do you think they want to ban TikTok? Let's be very clear. There's no TikTok ban. That's a lie. What they want is an American company to buy TikTok so the government can control it. That's what they want. They're not trying to, we care about the Chinese. If the Chinese have my data, so what? Let them have it. They can't put me in jail. They can't take my company. They can't take my money. They can't find me. American government can, and it will. When Americans buy TikTok, because they'll force them to do so, right. Now the Americans just give all the data over. I tell people all the time, if you want to have any company that controls your data, don't pick an American company. They go, wait, you're American. I know, but the American company, they're all cucks to the government. They will give all data to the government. Foreign companies won't because they have no jurisdiction. So they won't. But our companies will completely sell us out. YouTube, we're on YouTube now. They will sell us out. So will Google. They already did. We know they did. But before Elon Musk bought Twitter, Twitter sold us out. They want TikTok so they can decide that you're a bad guy, right? And when they decide you're a bad guy, they have enough information to put you in jail. I know because what my day job is, I'm a consultant, right? Business consultant, but I'm also a consultant for lawyers. I do criminal justice. I do criminal defense consulting also, helping to pick juries, voir dire, opening, closing statements, working with cross-examinations, all these types of things, right? With that in mind, I have seen where a government will literally ask for everything you have. The companies give them everything. They then sit down and go through, black out anything that might make you look good and show the jury what will ever make you look bad. Remember when they read you your rights, they say everything you say can and will be used against you. not for you if it's correct, because they don't care if it's correct. It will only find what's against you. And the more data we give these big companies, the more they will give to the government. And when they decide you're a bad guy and when they target you, you are going away.
I mean, do these corporations kind of, I mean, you're kind of hinting at it. Do they kind of run the government at this point? I mean, can we?
No.
No. Okay.
They don't.
Okay. What's your take there then?
They are slaves to the government because that's how they're able to survive, right? Most of these, remember, Google was able to buy YouTube. Google, the number one search engine in the world, was able to buy the number 2 search engine in the world. How is that legal with antitrust laws? That is not. Clearly, it's not.
Right.
So they went to the government and said, "Hey, can we do that?" They went, "Are you nuts?" And they said, "We'll give you all the data." They went, "Deal. Done. Buy it. Done. Take it." That was a deal the government made to make sure they can control all of our data. That's it. That's all that was done for. Why else would you, in any industry, would they let Coke buy Pepsi? Never. Would they let McDonald's buy Burger King? Never. Never. But they let these two. Why? I want data. I want to control my people. So it is a symbiotic, right? All monopolies, particularly in America, but all across the world, monopolies are always created by government. People will tell you, well, it's capitalism, and capitalism creates monopolies. That's not true. If capitalism created monopolies, why would all the big companies want to use the government? In fact, they'd want to not use the government, right?
Right.
It would be like, government, get away. We are capitalists, and we will just naturally create monopolies. No, they need the government to make sure that no one else can come up. And government has force and does so. And that's a perfect example of that.
Well, now back to the TikTok thing. Do you think that's because I've been, kind of, because I'm a guilty pleasure of mine. I watch a lot of these China Uncensored, all these random channels that, show different stuff that the Chinese people do. Now, do you think, I mean, we got very old legislatures, it's no secret there. And when they had the TikTok, I don't know if we call them TikTok trials or whatever, but they had, our guys looked like idiots. I mean, there's guys that had questions about Wi-Fi and just basic shit. You know what I mean? Is there any credence to the, Chinese can control what's seen there? Like they control the algorithm.
Of course they can.
If they want to push,
if you cared about that, here is how you would do if you care about that. And this was the idea that I put up in the first place. If you actually care about that, you create a very simple law. And it's a very simple law. If your platform is free, meaning anyone can have it, it is by default, goes in the rule 230, right? So you are a platform and you're protected. Got no worries. I'm okay with that. If it's free, you can absolutely do that. If that's the case, then all of your code must be transparent. Period.
I like that.
Yes. Now, if you're private and people pay to be part of it, then that's separate. It's a private company. Do what you want. You're not a public square. But you also are not 230. Now protected. Now protected by 230. You're protected by 230. 100% we protect you. You cannot be sued for people putting your platform. No worries. You're protected. But it's free, and every piece of your code must be transparent. That would be the law they would, if they cared about that, that would be the law. It wouldn't be, it's okay, but we just want it for ourselves.
That would be a serious game changer if they.
Correct.
Like, I mean, look what Musk did with releasing. It was a little tiny thing he did in the code. But if you look under every post, they call them posts now, not tweets. You look under every post, there's that metric. How many people viewed that? That wasn't there before. That's correct. A real teller because you can see what really gets seen and what really doesn't. If they did that with all of them, and you got people, random streamers like me, you, anybody else out there, they get access to the code, and you can see how it to hit people, and because we're at the mercy of YouTube, whatever YouTube feels like push. I have no idea. That's correct. What I mean? Literally at their mercy.
And again, if you're saying no, we're a private company and we're a publisher, we are not a platform, so we're not protected by 230. Then do whatever you like. No worries. And I can't just go in. But if you're free and you are therefore by default the public square protected by 230, then you got to be transparent. Done deal. Then you pick what you want.
All right, cool. We got a bunch of questions. Ironically, they're all coming from the UK, so this should be fun. Some of these might not be accurate. Some of these might not be accurate, so I can't verify them.
Okay.
Larry Sharpe, sir, what was it like to be trained by Mr. Fuji and Gorilla Monsoon? Were you trained by Mr. Fuji?
And that is the funny part. Sadly, the Larry Sharpe he's talking about is a wrestler who I loved and I watched during the 70s. Guy by the name of Pretty Boy Larry Sharpe. His actual name was Larry Wheel. He changed his last name for wrestling. I think it was his mother's maiden name, if I remember the story correctly. He became Larry Sharpe as a professional wrestler, and he passed away, I think, in 2018. Now, that was good and bad. It was bad for me because I actually liked him. It was my namesake. I watched him when I was a kid, so that sucked. He ran a thing called the Monster Factory. I think it was in Texas, maybe, where he was training wrestlers, somewhere in the Southwest, I think. And then he passed away. Before, when you would Google Larry Sharpe, it'd be me and him everywhere. Since he's passed, it's really only me. So now I kind of dominate Google searches now. But I love Larry Sharpe. I'm very sad that he's gone. He was trained by those two people, not me.
Okay. Captain, he's from Northern Ireland. He says, this is a standard question. He likes to ask this of all the Libertarian guests, but I mean, it's a valid question. Explain how voting Libertarian isn't a wasted vote in a two-party
Sure.
system.
Remember something. Bush got us Obama. Obama got us Trump. Trump got us Biden. Who's winning? It's not us. It's them. So you go, well, I'm going to vote for Trump because I'm scared of Biden. I'm going to vote for Biden because I'm scared of Trump. So you can wait 4 years. You're going to swap that again? So you saved yourself from Trump this year if you like Biden, right? You saved yourself from Trump this year. Good on you. And what are you going to get next year? You're going to get whatever, Cruz or whoever's the next guy they're going to put on. And you save yourself from Biden. You got Trump in. Great. Who are you going to get? Kamala Harris next time? You're not fooling anybody. This nation is in a state of decay. A state of decay that will continue because people keep going, well, I got to protect. As these two parties keep fighting back and forth, they solve nothing. In the past 20 years, 25 years, the Democrats have owned the House, the Senate, the courts, and the presidency. All four of them. Now, if you're a Democrat, did you get Medicare for all? No. Did you get Roe v. Wade codified? No. I wonder why not. If you're a Republican, they have owned the presidency, they've owned the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. Did you get a balanced budget amendment? No, you didn't. Did your border secured? What? No, you didn't. Did you get anything? You get a better taxation over? No, nothing. They solve nothing. Why? They don't have to. Because people like you who ask that question, you'll ask that question, you'll go, yeah, it's a wasted vote. So you'll keep doing the same thing. They have no desire to solve anything. But imagine for a second, if all of a sudden, any of the third-party candidates, the Libertarian candidate, right, him, the Green candidate, RFK Jr., Cornel West, any of them, imagine if they actually got 10 or 20%. What would happen? They would have to do something out of fear. How do I know that? Ross Perot. Mm-hmm. Ross Perot in 92, 96 actually made impact. What did they do? They changed the whole system. They got rid of everything because Ross Perot made an error. Well, I liked Ross Perot. I did. I voted for him. I liked Ross Perot. The problem is he didn't build any infrastructure. So once he was gone, it was over. It went away. Pat Buchanan tried to build some infrastructure, but he was just nowhere near as charismatic as Perot was. He just wasn't Perot. So he tried, but no way he could have replaced. And Perot had billions of dollars. Buchanan didn't have that. So Buchanan didn't have the cash or the charisma, but Buchanan knew how to build infrastructure. He tried with the Reform Party. He did try. He just didn't have the charisma or the cash. He couldn't do it. Imagine if he had. I'll go one step further. If you start getting a third party to have any kind of impact, not even win, have impact, you will change the entire conversation. The example I'll give you. In New York City, before they started changing the rules for parties, there was a party in New York City called The Rent is Too Damn High. That was the name of the party. A guy named Jimmy McMillan ran it. Jimmy McMillan would go on stage during debates because he was an official candidate. He would run. When he did that, he wasn't going to win. Everyone knew he wasn't going to win. But what were you talking about? The rent, because the people in New York cared about the rent. So you had to have a plan for the rent or Jimmy was going to eat your lunch in the debate. So having third parties makes the other parties better parties. And if you don't start voting third party, you are screwed. You are fixing nothing. We must vote third party. If you don't like Libertarians, I get it. Some of us are asses. I get it. I love Libertarians. I'm voting Libertarian. But if you don't like Libertarian, vote Green, vote Bobby Kennedy, vote Cornel West. I don't care. Vote third party.
You kind of have to almost, because I'll give you my political story, my timeline. Because I'm a little bit younger. I'm 47, and my first vote was in '96, and I grew up, pretty conservative, middle class here, west side of Cleveland, and I was so I voted for Bob Dole. I like Bob Dole. I still like Bob Dole. I thought he was a good war vet. He had some
World
solid
War
ideas.
II vet. I mean, that guy was hardcore. Got shot up in Italy. came back and got himself together and became senator. No shade on that man.
Beautiful. Love Bob Dole. So I voted Bob Dole then. And then in 2000, I was a big McCain guy before. I love McCain too. A lot of people, hate McCain because, his dad was in the Navy too. But I like McCain. I thought McCain did some honorable things that weren't popular, in my opinion. Like when he voted no on that, it was like a week or two after he had brain surgery, like a month or two before he died. He came out on the floor and voted down. I can't remember the issue at this point, but it was amazing. It's just like, that's fucking America right there. But so I was a big McCain guy in 2000. I actually went and saw him. I went to West Side Market here in Cleveland, went to a little rally.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. And then obviously he didn't win. Bush got in. I didn't mind Bush. I voted Bush that time. And then in 04. And 04 is when I first started hearing about libertarians a little bit on the fringes. A lot of the Ron Paul bros, they called them. They were kind of that 5 to 10%, at college. I was in college at the time. So they were kind of making inroads, but there was nothing there. And then in 08, McCain ran again. So I voted for McCain. But then in 2012 is when I really saw the Libertarians. This is when Gary Johnson was there.
Gary Johnson is when I came in the Libertarian Party. Same thing.
And I really liked it because Mitt Romney was a Republican. And I'm a big weed guy too, and Mitt Romney, obviously he's a Mormon. There's no chance in hell he's going to do weed. And at the time, Obama wasn't really talking about weed. So I was like, kind of, whatever. I'm gonna vote third party. I'm gonna vote for this Johnson guy. This guy cool. And then I'll tell you what happened after that, man. I felt like a very unsatisfying feeling, like that was a wasted vote. Why did I do this? I got to vote for one of the main guys next time. So in 2006,
I know it's what hurts us. That feeling is what hurts us.
And then I'm sitting there in 2016, and I swear to God, I'm at the booth, and I'm like, all right, I got to vote for one of these people. I had no idea who to vote for. I flipped the coin at the booth, and it came up Hillary, so I voted for Hillary. I swear to God, that's how I did it. And I really had another intense feeling of dissatisfaction after that. I was like, that was a fucking horrible vote. I mean, that was wasted. So that's one in 2020 when, I was really big. I was a Yang guy for a while. I really like Yang. And then
I like Yang. He's a friend of mine.
And nice.
He lives in Queens with me.
You got to get him. I've been emailing him forever. You got to send my name over there, get him on this show. I would love that Yang up. But I was a big Yang guy for a while. I actually got a couple of Yang t-shirts as well. He was running for mayor against Adams. And,
I remember.
Yeah, I got two Yang shirts, the Yang 2020 and the Yang with the Statue of Liberty there. But instead I was Yang, and then it's like, all right, you know what? None of these other guys are even close to what I want. I just want legal weed, looser regulations here or there, common sense shit. And so libertarians have kind of found a place at home for that. So that's kind of what we're working 100%. With. And that leads us to the captain's question. I think, what's your take on who's taking votes away from? He says, doesn't the Libertarian Party just form the Republican Party and clear a path for the Democrats?
I hope he's teasing.
He might be on that.
I hope he's teasing. Because you just said weed, right? So Democrats want weed far more than Republicans do, right? You just mentioned it, right? When I was running in 2018, we had some data. 25% of people voted for me were Democrats, right? So Democrats absolutely vote for Libertarians, of course, right? Libertarians were for marriage equality when Obama was still thinking about it or evolving or what the hell Obama was doing, right? Democrats have been anti marriage equality for decades. They just came around like last week or something, whenever they did, right? But Libertarians been there already. So no, the problem that we have is there's reality versus the perception. The reality of it is a lot of Democrats vote for us. Republicans actually don't. And here's the issue. This is our fault. To be very forward, Captain, this is our fault as libertarians. I mean, not you, meaning me. I'm saying I'm taking responsibility for this. We have a bad marketing problem, and we have allowed Republicans to say they are libertarians when they're not. So people like Ben Shapiro have said, well, I'm libertarian. Ben Shapiro's a conservative. He is not a libertarian, right? But now people hear him say that and go, well, that's what libertarians are. They're basically those guys. No, they're just people who say that. Republicans who don't like whatever the establishment Republican Party is doing at the moment will call themselves libertarians because they don't like to call themselves Republicans. But how do they vote? They vote Republican. So yes, because they're Republicans, right? That's what they are. I'm not mad at them. I'm mad they call themselves libertarians. But be Republican. I have a lot of Republican friends. It's fine. I don't mind you being Republican. But they call themselves libertarians, and that's our fault. We don't call them out on it. The problem is libertarians are so happy to have anybody be on their side. We'll be like, oh, Ben Shapiro's a libertarian? Okay, great. See? When we should be saying, no, he's a Republican, a conservative. He's not a libertarian. I think that's our problem. We definitely have an issue with that. So that's why people think that. But the data actually shows that's actually not true, right? About Don't get me wrong, more Republicans, depending upon the situation, will vote for the Libertarian in blue states. Let me be very clear about this. The Libertarian Party leans the opposite of the establishment. What do I mean by that? New York State is a very blue state. Because of that, the Libertarian Party leans right. The Libertarian Party in New York State is a very right-leaning Libertarian Party. Why? Because the state is blue and we are anti-state. You go to Oklahoma, the Libertarian Party leans left. Remember, Joe Exotic was Libertarian. Don't forget that. Yes. So in Oklahoma, the party leans left because the state is right. In fact, as a national, if you notice, when Trump was president, the Libertarian Party leaned left. Now Biden's president, the Libertarian as national, leans right. It always leans the opposite. So my argument to you, Captain, would be whatever the mainstream is, the opposite will vote more Libertarian.
You think the Libertarian Party is just too open in that aspect? I mean, they're too eager to grow, like, and they kind of forget the ideals. Because I mean, if you go look at, like,
I wish that were true. Oh my God, are you kidding me? We gatekeep worse than anybody. We have a joke that says you're not a real libertarian until someone says you're not a real libertarian, because the only real libertarian is whatever I think, right? Whatever I think, that's libertarian. Everyone else is wrong, and every libertarian thinks that. We gatekeep. We will get mad at people. I'm not making this up. There'll be somebody who will disagree on like 0.5% of one issue, and we will scold them like they're basically Stalin. We will call them Stalin. It's bad. The example I'll give is it drove me crazy that when I was in, when I first got into the party, I literally was at one of the events and a young guy came in, kid, he's like 18, 19. He comes and he's like, hey, I'm so glad I found you guys. It's great. Oh, so good. And people are like, oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. And he goes, I just got one question. You guys don't hate NASA, do you? That was his question. Now, if we were savvy and more open, as you say we are, we would have just said, oh, fine. No, we love NASA. Come on in, right? We didn't do that. We literally attacked him and told him what a status he was and pushed it. He never came back. Now, what I would have done is I would have literally said, you know what? Why did you come here? Well, I hate taxes. Great. Let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about NASA tomorrow. I want to meet people where they are and bring them in. I don't mind single issue coalitions. I'm totally happy with it. And we have it often. Oh, we have an anti-war coalition that we'll have with other people. We actually can get along with Green Party. Green Party is anti-war. So we can get the Green Party just on anti-war. On guns, we very often get aligned with conservatives, not Republicans. Republicans want gun control. But conservatives don't want gun control. So we often connect with conservatives on gun rights. So you will see we do sometimes have those single issue issues. And if we could bring them in, we'd have a bigger, wider tent. But too often, most people don't like it.
Okay. We got a question from Wep. He says, are you in a bunker?
I am. This is my Quonset hut. I spent 7 years in the Marine Corps. So my background's a green screen. So my background's a Quonset hut that is now put together as a bunker. Correct. It's my Quonset hut bunker. Yes.
Quonset hut. I haven't heard that term since goddamn Korea, maybe, I think. There was one bunker. I think it was Korea. Yeah. Let's get into some service stuff.
I joined the Marine Corps in the 80s. So there was still Quonset huts when I joined the Marine Corps.
Let me find my Marine questions here. Hold on. It's going off the rails in terms of questions, but that's the way I want it. That's the way, sometimes organized chaos gets shit done, right? So, like, when you got out of high school, were you thinking of any other branches? Why did you pick the Marine Corps?
I'll give you my actual story. My dad died when I was young. I was a kid. And I always knew I was going to be in the military, but I thought I was going to be a soldier. My father was in the Army. He met my mother over in Germany, and I was going to join the Army. So I'm 17 years old, still in high school, and I head out to the recruiting station. And my recruiting station has all 4 services where I lived in the same building. So I walk by the Air Force, walk by the Navy, go right into the Army office, and I say, hey, I want to join. He's like, oh my God, great. And he promises me everything. You're going to be a general in 6 weeks. There's going to be hot chicks all over you in the Bahamas. I mean, he's just promising everything. You're going to get a PhD for free. I mean, he's just yelling all. I'm like, this is great. Oh my God, the Army's the best. Why isn't everybody doing this? I'm like, this is amazing. I'm so lucky. And I walk out. I'm still in high school. So I've got like the book cover, Go Army, and a bumper sticker. And I walk out all happy. And I walk right out. And the last guy there is the Marine Corps recruiter. He's standing outside, arms folded, and looks at me. He goes, hey, son. I said, yeah. He goes, you got a minute? I said, sure. Because I thought, I'm super smart. You can't trick me. I know everything. You can't get me, Mr. Recruiter. That's what I thought. So I go inside. He sits me down. He goes, that Army recruiter. He promised you a lot, huh? I said, yeah, I'm going to be a general in 6 weeks. I'm going to be, hot chicks and a PhD. I tell him the whole story. He's like, you know what we call that? I said, what? He said, we call that the solar plan. Everything under the sun. He goes, you know what I'm going to offer you? I said, what? He said, 4 hard years. Are you ready? And I said, yes. And I signed up. That is how I joined the Marine Corps.
Now, what did you
Now,
did you have a
I
list
look back.
of, I mean, at this point you were sold like just by the guy's demeanor. Did you just sign it without looking at the job list? What job did you pick?
Well, let me go back. At that point, you had to sign what's called the Deferred Entry Program, whatever that, there was some kind of program, right? I'm still in high school. So I signed up to join later, right? That I signed up to agree to join, but I don't actually go till the next summer. So why did I do that? Now I look back and I know. Then I did not know. I joined that right there because I was a lost teenager who was about to be a punk, who was about to be a failure. I was desperately looking for positive male role models, strong male role models, which I did not have in my life when I was 17 years old. And he gave it to me. And I was so thirsty for it that the second I saw it, I jumped on it so fast. Now, I didn't know that then, but I can look back at who I was, with my now 35 years ago and go, yeah, that was me. That's 100% true. Right. So I think that's why I did it. So I joined the D, whatever it was. I didn't care. He then told me I was going to drop out of high school. I was like, I'll join tomorrow. Literally. I told him I'll drop out. He said, don't drop out of high school. I said, why? I don't need a stupid high school degree. Stupid. I'll be a Marine. I don't need this. Will you take me without a high school diploma? He said, yeah, we'll take you. You're 17. You can join. If your mom will sign, we'll take you out of high school. We'll take you now. I said, I'm going to do it. He said, if you do that, you can't get a guaranteed job. So to answer your question, I did not go that day. I would have left that weekend. Like I would have just gone. I did not go because he told me if I graduate high school, that I can get my degree, that I get the job that I wanted. And I wanted combat support. That's what I wanted. And that's what I got. I was in artillery. I spent a little bit of time with the infantry when I was on artillery. I wanted to be in the ground side. I did not want to be in the air side. I wanted to be in the ground side. And I was in the ground side. And then my second tour, I was in intelligence. I was at O2 in intelligence in my second tour.
That takes me back to my origin story. I was in the Air Guard for 20 years, but it gets me thinking back of the jobs. I did sign up out of high school just like that. But I remember there was this introductory weekend I was supposed to go to. And my dad, I was like running late. My dad's like, Joey, you got something? You got this thing down at Mansfield? I was like, fuck. So I didn't even get the shower because I was drinking the night before. I went down there all hungover, like, oh, yeah. I was in flip-flops and shit. I was not like military, very military-like. And then I ended up missing weight. Like because I was too heavy, you know what I mean? And I'm lazy, so I didn't really work out. So the first job I was supposed to have, I couldn't get. It was supposed to be like electrical systems apprentice or something like that. And then when I got down to Texas and got through basic and everything, I got recycled in basic. And that was in 95, 96 when they had that government shutdown. So everything got pushed back another 8 weeks. So I was down there for 8 weeks, just twiddling my thumbs, collecting government money. And then finally, when they started up, I flunked out of that class and then went into air transportation. So there was like 4 different things before I even started, bro. It was great.
That's good. That's good. So yes, I hope I answered your question at least.
All right. Now, when you was in the service, you had just gotten in and Full Metal Jacket came out. Is that correct? Did you
Full Metal Jacket was the closest movie to my actual boot camp experience that I've ever seen. It wasn't exactly, but it was the closest, right? Because I went in right after Vietnam. That's when I went in right after Vietnam. So it was the closest to my experience. And everybody in my unit, we all love Full Metal Jacket. We all, yes, movie, 100%. Right? We all love that fucking movie. We all. Dude, I watched it with my daughter like 2 months ago because I wanted her to understand what I went through in my concepts, all those things, and all of my leadership when I was in the Marine Corps, they were all Vietnam vets, right? Nice. All my master sergeants, all my gunnery sergeants, all my majors and lieutenant colonels, they were all Vietnam vets.
First time I saw that movie, it was at Christmas. I was in basic training, and it was on Christmas, and the training instructors rented a bunch of DVD tapes for us. So I I watched that in basic training on a DVD tape. Or no, it was a DVD tape. VHS. Yeah, VHS.
VHS, yeah. We weren't doing DVDs in the 80s. We were still doing VHS.
So where were you at Desert Storm? What was your Desert Storm story?
Desert Storm actually is one of the reasons why I left the military. One reason why I left. And it's going to sound stupid. But the reason why is I really wanted to go. I was trained. I was a sergeant. I was ready to go. And they were like, you are so motivated. I'm like, I am. I'll go back to my old unit. I don't care. So they kept me at schools, and I was training reservists to send them. I spent Desert Storm training people who did not want to go, and I couldn't go. And the reason was like, you're motivated. You'll motivate them to go. And I did. I was stuck on an Army base. So I was stuck on an Army base training Marines to go. Yeah, it was not. And it made me angry because two things happened at the same time. One, I was totally disenchanted because I was like, this is what I'm single. I'm here. This is what I'm here for. It's what I trained for. And I can't go. It's like going to law school and passing the bar and you can't be a lawyer. Well, then why'd I go to law school and pass the bar if I can't be a lawyer? What are you doing? And that's what I was feeling like. And then when I went out, it's going to sound funny. When I went out into the streets and talking to people, they were all about it. They were like, we got to go do this. I'm like, why? They're like, that guy's Hitler. It's like, what? I heard it like 4 or 5 times. And that's when everything happened to me. I was like, oh, this is all bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
This is all bullshit. And at that point, I knew I wasn't going to reenlist again. That's when I was sure. I was like, I'm not doing this again. I was like, I'm done. I know that it's all full of shit. And the funny part is, I am now a complete pacifist. I can't stand war. We should fund no wars, 0 wars. I don't care what anybody thinks. 0 wars should be funded. If you don't attack us, no war, no matter what. I don't care if you like Russia, Ukraine, Gaza, Israel, no money to any of them, no matter what. Particularly in America, we're starving, we're hurting, we're getting our ass kicked. You're going to throw money to somebody else to kill people? No. And I say that now, but when I was 19 and I was a hard-charging Lance Corporal Marine, I was all about it. I was the kid who wore the shirt that said, kill them all, let God sort them out. That was me. I'm exactly the opposite of what I was then. And that was the turning point for me to really get it.
We've sent so many people to Desert Storm. I don't think a lot of guys remember just the sheer numbers of people.
Yep.
I mean, we had 500,000 over there at Saudi at some point, I think, wasn't it?
They just sat in Saudi Arabia. Yes. That was one of the reasons why that's why OBL was so mad. It's one of the reasons why OBL was so mad.
The best movie for me, I mean, there's really no movie about the Air Guard. They don't care too much about that to make a direct Air Guard movie because it's not exciting. You're sitting around watching PowerPoints all day. But the movie that most directly correlates to the service, in my opinion, not all of it, the movie overall kind of shit, but the movie Jarhead. Just a waiting.
Gyllenhaal, right?
Nothing. Yeah. Gyllenhaal and Jamie Foxx, I think, was in there too. Yeah.
100%. I completely agree. Yep.
Desert Storm trading cards. I remember. That's great. All right, we got a bunch of questions. Let's keep this bad boy rocking.
Oh, do it. I don't mind. Yep.
Some of these are just all over the place. All right, Captain says a lot of these are from Captain. He's very political and he likes the discussion. So he's always he's a good example in my opinion because he's a guy who would love to come to America. He would love to be here. And
where is he now?
In the States, he's in Northern Ireland. And not that he doesn't mind Northern Ireland. He loves living over there. He loves his history and stuff. But he loves the freedom of America, the things we could do, just a expanse of the country, etc. He really digs America.
He probably knows this. I don't know if you know this. There's a movement to reunite Ireland.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There's a movement. I have no idea how popular. I don't know at all the politics over there. I just know a movement exists, and I never thought there'd be such a movement because I'm ignorant and I live in America, so I didn't know that. But I saw recently a buddy of mine was talking. He's like, there's a movement to reunite Ireland. I'm like, really? I had no idea. So just interesting trivia for me. I'm sure Captain Babton knows this already.
All right, he says, what do you think of the Biden administration weaponizing the justice system against its political opponents?
It has been happening forever. What are you talking about? It's been happening forever, right? But they used to do it they used it against me and everybody else. What do? They sue people off the ballot. That's how Obama got his seat. Obama sued his opponent off the ballot in Illinois. That's how he got his Illinois Senate seat, so that he could actually go to the next to become a senator so he can become president. He sues him off the ballot. Do it all the time. It's horrible. It's wrong. And the people who we should blame are judges. The judiciary in America is an embarrassment. It is literally an embarrassment. They have forgotten that their job is not to just follow the law. If I'm going to follow the law and that's all I'm going to do, well, then I don't require you. I can supplant you with an algorithm. We'll save a lot of money on robes, and we just have algorithms. Who the hell do we need you for? You're supposed to stop the brain dead, empty-headed, brain dead chimps that are making the laws in the assemblies and the Congress. None of them care about the Constitution at all. I'm not joking. They don't care at all. They don't write the laws. Lobbyists write laws. The brain dead chimps sign them because their party says them to sign them, right? The governor goes, which party is going to make me look best? He signs it. Judge is supposed to go, this is garbage. No, you can't do this. No. Judge is in their title. They're supposed to judge, not follow the law. The guy who follows the law is the executive branch, who doesn't follow the law. So we have it exactly the opposite. The executive branch is supposed to follow the law. It doesn't. It arrests who it wants. To his point, does whatever it wants. It doesn't care. The judiciary is supposed to not follow the law. The judiciary is supposed to follow the Constitution. So to your point, Captain, when someone says, let me use the law to punish my political opponent, the judge is supposed to go, you can't do that. No. Done. And you might go, well, they get in trouble. How? Judges don't get in trouble. What does it mean to see a judge get fired? They don't get fired. They don't get voted on. Who cares? These judges don't get, they're just political hacks who will go out of their way to not make a decision. And they should be judges and they should be judged by it.
Awesome, man. That was great. That was a cool tangent there. All right. I'm gonna piggyback on what Captain's saying here about the free press. I'm gonna just twist it a little bit in terms of social media. Because social media is the new town square. I mean, it's no secret. Like, I mean, freedom of the press, it's all digital now. Nobody gets a fucking newspaper. Nobody gets magazines. It is what it is. So should there, I mean, you were talking earlier about if a platform is free, I'm assuming I know your answer on this one. Should there be, freedom of speech, with obviously liable tort laws applying as well, but should there be freedom of speech how we've had it on social media? What's your take on that?
The reality of it is, if there is an issue with someone who is doing something that is illegal or something like that, I understand trying to stop them. I do. I get it, right? If someone's going to, say, hey, the difference is, and this is where the line should be drawn, sadly it's not. The line is drawn on if what I say is offensive, that's not a crime and should not be censored. Or if what I say is against the rules, that's not a crime and that should not be censored. If I'm saying, we should go get that captain guy, that's a threat. That should be censored. That's a threat, right? That's where our line should be drawn. If you go, well, Larry, that's great what a threat is. Okay, let's have that back and forth. That should be the issue. And as long as that's transparent, I don't mind. We can fight on that. That's what we should be fighting. Am I threatening somebody? That's the gray area. We're fighting over, is someone's feelings hurt? That's not illegal and should not be banned. So if you're worried about what should be banned or not, you've got to focus on, is it a threat or not? If you're working on under that, I'm good. No worries whatsoever. Now, what about things like, spicy stuff and that kind of thing? No worries. Do what they do literally right now on many platforms. Have a kids option. Have an option that says, I don't want to see spicy things. No worries, but I choose it. I say I don't like spicy stuff. Okay, you don't like watching, women shake their butt online. No worries. I happen to love watching women shake their butt online, but if you don't, no worries, right? You do you. Is all I'm saying. You do you. You don't want to see, violence. Okay, check the box. I don't want to see violence. As long as you're deciding, and this technology exists. We already have it, right? So if I voluntarily say, I don't want to see spicy stuff, or I don't want to see violence, good on me. I don't. That's it. I'm seeing right now, Raven says facts don't care about feelings.
Raven's a very unique individual. You would find Raven quite fascinating.
I want to touch that because Raven is 100% wrong. Not even close. Not even close. 100% wrong. Feelings are so more powerful than facts. It's not even funny. It is not even close. Feelings whip facts asses every day. Under feelings, people ignore facts, make up facts, change facts, all because of feelings. Facts have no powerful feelings. Now, the repercussions from those facts don't care about feelings. And that is the nuance I want to make sure is clear. The repercussions from you ignoring facts, they don't care about your feelings. But the actual facts are completely devastated by feelings. I mean, there is 100% no chance. Facts have no chance. If I don't like you, I don't like you, Raven. I'm not going to believe anything you say. Now, I might pay a price for that. Again, the repercussions of me ignoring the facts don't care about my feelings. But the facts themselves, I will blow them right off.
Hey, you might be, this interview is not over yet, but you're in my top 5 favorite guests of all time. I'm going to tell you right now.
I like that. I'm winning.
This is fucking great. And I'm knowing I'm not the only one who's laughing their ass off at home right now. Now you have to settle me some, you have to, I was really high when I did all these questions, as I am always. I get high. It's what I do. I'm a weed guy. So
I'm not mad at you.
You got to settle some Marine Corps urban legends for me. All right.
Okay.
Now, is it true that you guys eat crayons?
Yes, and the red ones are the most delicious. Not green. Okay. Red.
Okay. Now, there's no service connection for the crayon eating, just so we're clear on that, okay? All right. Now, there's a story about the Marine Corps puppy. Now, I was told that at the beginning of basic training, they give you guys a puppy, right? And you have to groom the puppy and raise it. And at the end of basic training, in order to prove your loyalty to the Corps, you have to slit the puppy's throat in a horrific Marine Corps ritual. Is that true at all?
It is, but the thing you have to ask you also you have to not the throat. You actually have to do harikiri. You've got to actually gut it. You've got to gut it.
And also, and finally, is it true you guys have to talk about the Marines every 5 minutes, or your discharge gets immediately overturned to be a bad conduct discharge?
There's an exception. If you are somehow showing something Marine, you don't have to speak about it.
Oh,
which is
I
why
like
I show it.
There's
a loophole that you didn't know. See, I keep the Marine Corps logo right here. That's how I get around the 5-minute rule, by showing something. That's how you get around it.
All right, Carla, I was joking about the Marine Corps puppy. There's no such thing as a Marine Corps puppy.
Of course. Everything I just said was a lie, but it was funny.
The last minute and a half was a total canard. There was none of that was factual at all.
Absolutely.
All right, yes. So back to the nonfiction section of the YouTube library for a moment. Captain's coming in hot. Should there be an upper age?
He's got a lot of stuff. I like it.
Yeah, should there be an upper age limit for politicians? I think yes, honestly, because I mean I would say 70-ish is probably the good age. I mean, because that's when the cognitivity starts to decline, in my opinion. What's your take?
Theory plus reality. In theory, no. Right? In theory, there are people who are 50 years old and who are completely knuckleheads, and people who are 80 and who are great. But if you want to do it, you'd have to copy the Social Security mandatory retirement age. Right? So if you said right now, I think it's 68, I think is that, or 67? I think 68. I forgot which one.
70 for me. Yeah, for me it's like 70, I think. So it's up there.
Whatever that number is, I forgot what it is actually. That would be the number. Right? Because if you're saying I gotta retire, then that would be the end. But what's supposed to, if you have fair and free elections, transparent elections, which we do not have in America, we don't have a democracy in America. I'm not joking when I say that. My example I'll give is where I live in New York. It's 6-1 Democrat to Republican, and every district is gerrymandered. So if I'm not a member of the Democratic Party, I have no say in my government. None. My city council member, my state assembly person, and my congressperson are all members of the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. I have no say in that whatsoever. It doesn't matter how I vote. My vote's irrelevant. I might not even vote. For president, the Democrats are going to win New York State. My vote is irrelevant. I literally have no say in and of course, it's not democracy, republic bullshit. We know what we mean when we say democracy. Stop that. And I don't have a republic either, because I have no say in my republic then. I have no say. So it doesn't matter. It might as well be a monarchy. Literally, it might as well be a monarchy. I have no say in my government. There's no difference in my current situation than if I had a king. There's no difference. Right now, what winds up happening is Democratic Party in where I am, I'll say again, Oklahoma's Republican Party. I'm not just picking up Democrats. Either party does it. Their elites decide who is going to be in charge, and they are. 90% of all people in Congress are reelected. Why? Because they're so good? No, because gerrymandering. With a system that is broken, we may have to have upper age limits, because now you're 85, 90 years old and you still get in because you never get out. However, If we have an actual free and fair elections, you should have no limit because we'd only be voting for people who we feel are competent and valuable. But we don't do that, nor a republic. We don't have any of that. We have an oligarchy in America that control. Okay, good example. Most Americans, over 70%, do not want a Trump-Biden rematch. 70% do not want a Trump-Biden rematch. We are having one. Why? Because we don't have a democracy. We don't have a republic. We don't have any actual say in our politics. That's why.
We really don't. Yes. You said you were in New York. I'm in Ohio. I mean, Trump's winning Ohio. Ohio's solid red at this point. Ohio's a unique economy, though. Because if you look at red states that allow weed, that's a great living environment. Because, like, in my opinion, Larry, weed makes
you get weed and guns.
Yeah, we got legal weed, legal fireworks. I don't want to say the A word, but you got that if you like it. You got legal and gambling too now. There's everything you want in Ohio. It's a libertarian paradise, man.
I know. I might have to move.
But there's no libertarian on the candidate, and there's no libertarian on the ballot for governor in 2022. If they gerrymandered everything out of existence, I mean, what in your opinion?
Okay, let me touch this. You asked a good question. Let me touch this. What you just said. The reason why is because of a thing called ballot access. Most people don't know what that means. The Brits don't have this problem. The Brits have a relatively easy way of getting on the ballot. If you want to be in the ballot, it isn't that crazy. Us, it's impossible. And when I say impossible, I mean that. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is literally a multimillionaire from one of the richest families in the country, and his name is known throughout the entire world. He can't get in the ballot in 50 states. How is that a thing? I dropped $500,000 to get in the ballot in 2022 in New York State. The Republicans sued me off the ballot. Sued me off. Who can raise $500,000? And to be clear, that is just to be listed on a ballot. That doesn't get me any advertisements, nothing. And the worst part is you might go, well, Larry, that's fair. If it is it, Democrats don't do it, Republicans don't do it. They get it automatically. They just get it because they are. We have a system right now to where two private companies run all of our elections. You might go, that's not true. Yes, it is. Because literally the Supreme Court has said that these are two private organizations, Democratic Party, Republican Party, are two private organizations, and they have no obligation to give us free and fair elections. That's Supreme Court said that when Bernie Sanders fought them in 2016. Now, the issue I'll say is I agree with that conceptually. I do. Private organizations should do what they see. That's true. But then how do they get to run our elections and control the ballot? That's my problem. You can't give them now access to the ballot. Here's the second problem. It's totally unconstitutional. And again, it's judges who suck and will not fix this. Let me ask you a question real fast. Doesn't our Constitution say I can vote for who I want? Right?
Yeah.
What used to happen is no one printed a ballot. I walked to my polling station. I wrote the name down of the person that I wanted, right? I put it in a box and someone counted that. It doesn't happen anymore. Now parties decide who can be on your ballot. You can write them in. No, not every state, depending on where you are. Parties decide who's an official write-in. Who the fuck are you to tell me who I can write in? And no judge went, when that happened, judge went, that makes sense. What kind of judge are you? You're an embarrassment. You should be impeached tomorrow.
Well, to piggyback on that, then, I mean, if they're blatantly doing this, and now that you think about it, they are doing that because, I mean, I think in Ohio, that's a requirement. You have to register as a write-in candidate, get so many things to even be out. Like, if you wanted to write Joe Varell in for fucking governor, you couldn't do it unless I was registered. They won't even count it. I mean, since they're just doing blatantly unconstitutional things across all these states, I mean, at some point, is there going to be some sort of fracturization, some kind of mini revolution?
Yes.
I mean, if you look at
Brexit, touch those two pieces. The first piece is that is why when Captain Baptin said about Biden using the law, I was like, already been done. I'm not surprised at all. That's the norm. That's why I wasn't surprised. But to your point, which is why I am so aggressively trying to fix ballot access, why I am so aggressively a third-party person, because what you just said, my brother, is exactly true. If you don't give people a voice, they will turn to violence. It is simply human nature. Thomas Jefferson said it. Martin Luther King Jr. said it. This is how it works. You've got to give us a voice. And they are stopping our voice. And if they stop our voice, it will turn to violence. And we have a little bit of an example of that with BLM and Jan 6. Left and right, both going to violence, right? I don't want that. This is a bad idea. So yes, you are correct. And that's why I'm fighting this.
What we should do on some of the fringes is get, we should scan it. They should get a collective, have a big fucking Libertarian Symposium, get all the brilliant minds, you and all the other guys we mentioned earlier in the pre-show.
Oh, I'm brilliant. Thank you.
That I'm way too high to, if in case you didn't know, every time somebody does a super chat or gives a membership out, I do a weed gummy. So, when you do a lot of weed gummies, you get high. So that's what it is. But you need a giant symposium and you need to target easily accessible offices. You know what I mean? Like, all you need is 15 signatures to be on the city council ballot in Hamilton, Ohio, something like that, and just get, plant and then just work your way up. Otherwise, I mean, like throwing money at stuff, like you were just saying, you spend $500,000 to just sue you out. You're not freaking, Warren Buffett. You can't just get back into it.
Nope. Absolutely.
And you combine that with the obvious loneliness epidemic out there. I mean, you can say what you want. There's a whole generation of these dating apps and social media, Larry, ruined this.
Oh my God, my friend. You are so right again. And this is what drives me crazy, because of the self-inflicted wound that was the lockdowns. So we already had a problem with young men already. And then we said, let's take a whole bunch of young men and say they can't do anything for 2 years. What were we thinking? So now we have about 7 million, give or take, young men who have checked out and are sitting in front of a screen waiting for the next leader to show up to tell them who to put in a camp. They can't wait. That's what they're waiting for. And they're becoming angrier and lonelier and more violent. And the second someone shows up and says, hey, I would like to put some, whose fault it is? It's these people's fault, whoever that person decides. Why don't we put them all in camps? And when he says that, these men are going to go, yeah, let's do it. Because not only that, they are also not getting girlfriends. As you know, all the women are sleeping with like 10% of the men, right? So there's a huge rash of STDs throughout the Gen Zs. Tons of them having STDs all over the place, right? Tons of them. Except it's all in women. It's like 3-to-1 women to men. Wait a minute, how's that true? Because the STD-filled men are banging all the women. And everybody else is sitting at home by themselves, mad. They're all mad. Well, great. Here comes whatever fascist guy and shows up and goes, hey, how about we put those guys in camps? Good. I was doing nothing but playing PS5. Give me an armband. Let's go. And they will do it. And that's why I'm saying we got to fix this. We've got to fix this.
I mean, that's such apocalyptical language. But if you really think about it, if you really use historical precedent, how people work,
every single fascist explosion has come from disaffected men. Every single Italy, Spain, Germany, all of them came from disaffected men. You know what every school shooter and every mass shooter has in common? Two things in common. Two things they do not have. And when they don't have and do have, sorry. The one that they do have is a prescription for some psychotropic medication. And they don't have is a girlfriend. Those are two things. Get them off the drugs and get them with a woman. They don't shoot people up anymore. That stops. That goes away. When you have a purpose, you don't do that.
Some of those school shooters, they weren't bad. I mean, this is a weird thing to talk about, but they weren't, quote unquote, bad looking dudes, so to speak. I mean, Alex Manashian was their like ringleader for the longest time. And you look at him, he was, most women, if, they didn't know his ethos, would be like, oh yeah, okay. He would be a bad baby dad, et cetera. But yeah, man, that whole 10%, 90% thing. I mean, it's so true. Yep. I mean, look at the chat. How many single guys we got in the chat as opposed to single women? I think the only single woman in the chat just because she got divorced. It's geez, man, that's we're going off on it. I love it. All right, we got a question from BC. He is from Canada, actually. BC's for British Columbia. He says, what's the biggest negative issue currently in the United States, in your opinion, that must be first corrected, and how, if possible?
It's going to sound silly, but I brought it up. It is access to the ballot. I'm not joking. Because nothing else, if you don't get the third parties in, then you don't get the third voices in, and you will have no change. Whatever values you want to put in place, whatever laws you want to put in place, you can't get put in place because there's no incentive to do so, right? Most Americans do not want to be spending money on wars overseas. Doesn't matter. Most Americans don't want to bail out banks. Doesn't matter. And both parties do it. Why? There's no repercussions politically. If I want to fix the ballot box, that's the answer. If I don't fix the ballot box, as Frederick Douglass says, if it's not the ballot box, it's the bullet box. I don't want the bullet box. I want the ballot box. So this is how you fix it. You fix it with ballot and education reform, and election reform.
I like it. All right. What is your policy on photo ID to vote?
It's fine. If you want it, it's fine. The only issue is there's one minor issue. If a state requires a photo ID to vote, the state should be open to providing that photo ID for free. That's it. As long as the state's open to that, what am I?
Yeah, I mean, and that's typically the way it is in most communities. From what I've read, I don't see because you can't have any poll tax, so you can't have.
But I want to explain the reason why it's a problem, so people understand the reason. It is not a logical problem. Let's go back to the facts and feelings thing. It is not a logical problem. It's an emotional problem. And the emotional problem is there are still Black Americans today who are alive who remember being pushed away from voting because of IDs and things like that back in the South. Those people are still alive, and they have told those stories. So the idea of a photo ID is not real. Anyone can get a photo ID. It's not a real issue, but it's an emotional one that affects a lot of Black Americans who don't like it. It feels bad. They don't like the feeling of it. It feels like you're trying to get me when in reality you're not. There's nothing wrong with IDs at all. So if people on the right who tend to want photo IDs compared to the left would not be so mean about it, and they often are, they're mean about it, right? Just don't be mean, and people don't care. You're like, just get a goddamn ID. You do that, and they go, oh, see, you're trying to stop me. The emotion comes over, erases the facts, and then I'm fighting you. If you just go, hey, all I want to do is make sure that you and your vote counts, and that people who shouldn't vote, that they don't vote, and that you get your vote, and your vote counts. Now they'll go, oh, great, let's do IDs. That's it. It's how you spin it. The emotion on this issue is the key. That's why I'm saying it. People are often angry and yell at people, and then the Black population goes, whoa, see? No, my grandma told me about you guys. That's what happens.
I think, and this is just a random thing when you were talking there, I personally think internet voting should be a thing. And I know people go like, if we trust our banking information, money is the backbone of society. Every last person out there in the chat right now, including me and Larry, I guarantee you we got an online banking thing. We trust all our money with this bank. We can do the same thing with votes. There's no reason. And when you talk about the emotional stuff, you get people, when I bring this up, they're like, oh, you don't know about hackers. Well, then are we losing thousands of dollars every day to hackers in America and our banks? No. You know what I mean? There's no reason we can't have internet voting. It'd be so easy.
I agree. Captain says, who pays for the free IDs? The same people who are paying for the elections. No difference. That's who's paying for it. And you might go, Larry, they shouldn't. I agree with you. That was my whole point about private companies. Private companies, Democrat and Republican parties, taxpayers pay for their primaries. They should not. It's a primary. Let the private company pay for it, and then the private company can pay for the IDs through donations. Whoever's paying for the election pays for the IDs. That's simple.
Right. And ID, I mean, they got these little stickers when you go vote in Ohio, and the whatever the fees, they pay for themselves, basically. They're like free. It's
whatever it is.
Yeah, same thing with the IDs. It's easy. I mean, and everybody, yeah. And then what Troy makes a good fucking point here. You can't do anything without an ID. You can't exist without an ID, right?
And that's my point. Troy's correct. That's my point. It's not a logical argument. Logically, Troy is exactly correct. And so is everyone else who wants IDs. I'm not against IDs. It makes total sense. It's logical. We all know how to get them. I agree completely. I'm saying the emotion comes out and scares people who have lived through this. In the past, it was used to stop people from voting, right? In the 50s and 60s. It was actually used to stop people from voting. That was a thing. It isn't anymore. It's not a thing anymore at all. But it was. Those people are still alive. They tell horrible stories. People get scared. Just don't be a jerk about it, and we'll be fine.
Amen. All right. I like this one, actually. should concealed and open carry be allowed across all states? Basically, for those in the chat overseas don't know what this question means. If like certain states like Ohio, for example, you could have a firearm on you in a concealed environment and not be prosecuted. But if you go to New York, for example, they could probably charge you something. Should we have reciprocity amongst the states in terms of the Second Amendment? What do you think?
I would ask a question because you're the weed guy. Does anybody in the chat or you believe that if I have a plant in my pocket, regardless of the effects that plant may have on my brain or not, is that a crime, me having that plant in my pocket? I would think most people would say no. In fact, Republicans would probably go, nah, not really. It shouldn't be a crime. Great. Why not? Well, because it's a plant. Not hurt anybody. You're right. Absolutely. But what if I rob somebody to get that plant? Would that be a crime? Yes. But still having the plant would be the crime. Robbing the person would be the crime, right? What if I stole somebody and hit him over, and stole a bat and hit someone over the head with it to get my plant? Well, that's a crime, but that's assault. It's already a crime. No difference when it comes to guns. Possession should not be a crime. Action is a crime. Did I use that gun to threaten somebody? That's a crime. Did I use that gun to harm somebody? That's a crime. Did I use that gun to rob somebody? That's a crime. Every gun law, every possession gun law is by default unconstitutional. And the fact that I keep going back to it, the horrible judges that have said, that's fine. There's a Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. And we have laws against assault, laws against threatening, laws against murder. So if you believe that having a plant in your pocket is a crime, I don't know why you, but if you do, then I at least understand why you would say having a gun in your pocket's a crime. But they're the same. I have a thing. If I have a knife in my pocket, is that a crime? If I have a hammer in my pocket, is that a crime? No. If I hit somebody over the head with the hammer, that's a crime. So 100% conceal and open carry should be allowed in every state across the United States under all circumstances. And I'll go even further. But Larry, what if someone's a convicted felon? Should they be able to have a gun? Are they out of prison? Yes. Are they paying taxes? Yes. Then give them a gun. If they want it, they don't get it if they want. Why? Because they are an American citizen paying taxes and voting. You get to defend yourself, period.
Right there.
If you think, but Larry, they're dangerous, then put them back in jail. If they're dangerous, why are they out on the street then? Put them back in jail then.
That's a great point with the correctional system just in general. I mean, if people are so worried about this, I mean, I know the thing to talk about this is people always bring up the outliers, like, oh, what about for obvious outliers, whatever. But like, if somebody does their time in jail and they're done, let them come back to society as a regular person. Yes. Why do they have to, get tattoos and mow lawns or just maybe work as a bar cook? That's the only jobs you can get. That or just fucking selling drugs. That's the only thing. If I had a felony right now, it would take a lot for me to do a felony because like I don't really do that many things. But like, say I randomly got a felony, I don't know, I cashed a check that was bad and they charged me with a felony or something like that. Should I not have a right to defend my family? I mean, should I not have a right?
A lot of Americans would say yes. You don't deserve anything. Yes. A lot of Americans would say yes. I think that's bullshit. Absolutely not. No. You've served your time. You're out. You get to be an American citizen again. You get a second chance. If society says no, then stay in jail. If you're coming out, you get a second chance. You are equal to all the rest of us. And there is a thing that people don't know in America. It's probably true across the world, but I know in America it's true. There is a magic number, and that number is 5. If a convicted felon has work for 5 years, if that happens, they are less likely to commit a crime than someone who's never been arrested. 5 years of work is the key. If we can get more people to work for 5 years, we'll have less felons.
Amen. All right. It was a question I liked. This one from Drew. My buddy Drew, he was in the Navy. Good guy down in Dayton.
What's up, sailor? How you doing, brother?
He there's no secret that the New York subway system is becoming suboptimal, as they say right now. I suppose it's kind of or not symbiotic with the immigrant crisis. But what do you do to fix the subways? Not physically fix them, I mean, but
that too. there's three things you have to do. It's not easy at all. The New York City subway system is a disaster. It is a boondoggle that loses $6 billion every year and gives us crappy service. It's nothing but bad. And it's bloated. And the guy who runs it should have been literally taken out back and shot literally years ago. He's completely incompetent. It's terrible. How do you fix it? Three things. Piece number one, you fund it not through taxation. How do you fund it? You lease naming rights to all of New York City's bridges. Right now, the bridges are all sitting here and they're like, we name our bridges after our aristocracy. All of our princes and kings of New York, we name the bridges after all of them. We should take those bridges and name it after Google or YouTube or 3M or I don't care, Pepsi. You pick the place. They'll easily pay $100 million a year. How do I know that? I brought this up in 2018 and I had bankers coming to me saying, how long's the lease? They were asking for how long the lease would be so they could actually, it was hoping I would win, they were going to farm that out. So all of a sudden that begins to happen.
But I want to pause you on that because I want to double back on that. When I was going to run for office, I had the exact same. That's why I was looking it up. I was looking at your wiki and I saw that. So I was glad you went there because I think, like, say here in North Olmsted, Ohio, for example, I live in a suburb. I claim Cleveland, but you know, as when you're from a small suburb, you just claim the big city. I would sell the naming rights to each street and let the residents of the street just disperse the money. And overall on that, what significance does North Olmsted have? Aaron Olmsted was like, it was 200 years ago. Who the fuck's this guy? Just put the $1 billion a year, 10-year lease, disperse that amongst the people. Why not? Why, if we're already in corporate shit, why exactly right there why can't we just
100%.
keep that party going? Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. And now New York has like a dozen of them. We could build up enough money to make sure that we could support all the bridges and support the MTA without having to raise one price. So the average person can still, just like stadiums, exactly correct. Except stadiums, they get $20 million a year and they use them on the weekends. These bridges are mentioned in a 16 million person metro area on the radio and TV every day in traffic reports. Constantly. They're on Google Maps every time you drive around. And millions of people drive by. And more importantly, every movie that's shot in New York City now has that name in its guideline. So now you got product placement. They will absolutely pay $100 million for that. Of course they would. Easily pay that. But that's not enough. That's one piece. Second piece, you have to allow freight to come in on the MTA line at night. Right now, at night, every other train is run because there aren't many people on the lines late at night. So instead, do one regular and then one freight train. Now, why would that matter? Why? Because you have to rebuild the entire system for the freight lines. Who would do that? I know who would do that. Amazon. Yeah, UPS, FedEx. Their marketing budget is billions of dollars every year, just their marketing budget. They would take that and rebuild the entire system. We have a nice new system. Now, not just that. Are they going to accept people robbing stuff on their trains? No. They will have private security and stop that shit. Of course they will. Yes. We don't need cops at that point. They will take care of it. They will. But I'm still not done. Once we do that, that, of course, gets less wear and tear on our bridges with trucks, less trucks in the city, so less wear and tear on the actual streets, and cheaper prices as now freight comes in at night into the city, takes care of the city itself, which is all good. But I'm still not done. We have a issue with addicts and homeless people in America, in New York City, particularly, but in America all over. Of course we do. So at the back of every subway train is what I call the carrying caboose. The carrying caboose is where people who have problems can go. They can just go there. Cops are there, private security, whatever, can bring them down there. In that carrying caboose, no cops, only private security, because people who have addiction problems or mental illness problems are afraid of cops. So now all of a sudden, you head on in there, you go there, and there are private people there who take care of you. Wi-Fi is going to be everywhere. Why? Because when they rebuild the train system, they'll put Wi-Fi in it because it's Google, right? Because it's FedEx, they'll have Wi-Fi. So now Joey comes in and sits down and he starts going, okay, hold on. Joey, how are you? Here's what you need. Get some, some of your medicine, have a seat, whatever the case may be. All you can do that. And how do you do that? You do that by leasing that out through donations, meaning like companies like medical companies who want to do that. They can have the carrying caboose. So what do? I just raised money, new system, safer for the people who are in trouble, and I did not raise taxpayer dollars one bit. That's how you fix the subways. And some people will tell me that's not true, Larry, because I don't want to see Pepsi on this or Home Depot on this. But you want to see homeless people killing people on a subway? Shut up. What's wrong with you? What a privileged asshole you are to say something like that. I don't want to see Google on my bridge. Do you have some other answer? Besides people, the poor people getting hammered on my subway system, you don't. So how many of you privileged ass? Shut up. How about that?
Now that I think of the New York stuff, what is your take on? I know it costs a lot of money, but all this empty office space.
Captain Babstan's talking trash. He's saying that's bullshit. Private corporations can't stop theft from their own shops. That's because New York City will not allow you to defend yourself. But if I had this plan, I would be the governor in this case. If I'm the governor, I fix this very simply. I can fix a lot of crime very simply in New York State by doing two things. Number one, all bail reform laws only apply to first-time offenders. That's it. I like the idea of bail reform. I think bail reform is a wonderful idea. I want bail to be as safe and as fair as possible. But I don't want it for someone who's been convicted 3 times and arrested 5 times. And I'm not making this up. This is government stats. The average person in the MTA who's in trouble arrested 15 times. I'm not joking. 15 times. So how about arrested twice, convicted once? Doesn't matter. You lock those people up. That is, I'm not joking, 80% of the crime is done by those people. 80%. This is government numbers. So the first thing is that. The second thing is, as governor, I say, here is my blanket rule. If you defend yourself or your property in New York State, and when you did it, you defended it, you committed any felonies or crimes at all, I will blanketly pardon you. Done. Blanket pardon. Well, Larry, I put out a hammer and hammered a guy in the head. What was he doing? He was sitting for my store. Pardoned. Have a nice day. Go back to work. I shot the guy and it was an illegal gun. Pardoned. Go back to work. Do that for 30 days, crime will be to nothing. The problem is they can't defend themselves. It's against the law in New York State to defend yourself. I'm not making that up.
Oof.
If you defend yourself in New York State, you will go to jail. You will go to Rikers Island in New York City, which is the most violent jail in the entire country. So BC says fantasy. He is correct because I'm not governor. But the question was, what would I do? So if I was governor, that's what I would do. I've told people this, that you can do this. It's how it can be done. It's on my website. Like, my plans are there. You can take them if you want to. I don't have to be the governor to do it. But if I was able to be governor, and if I could implement this, I would do it. And everything I said would work because there are examples of this everywhere. And one of the examples, by the way, is Ohio. Ohio is an example of this. You guys have basically concealed carry now, and the crime rate has not gone up.
Nope.
And the government has shown so. So yes, everything I'm saying is based in reality, has happened before, and will happen. So it's no fantasy, my friend. It's true.
Ohio, like we said earlier, man, Ohio just ass backwardsly made itself a libertarian paradise. And the properties are cheap here too, dude. You could buy a house for $150,000 right down the street, man. Right down the fucking street. I was gonna back to New York thing. All these office buildings, there's like nobody there, right? So I know there's
big problem.
Transitional cost. Are they gonna? I mean, is it gonna take federal government intervention to transition these buildings? What's your? I mean, the obvious solution would be to convert them all to apartments, but I mean that's not totally practical. What's your take on that?
Look, you can physically transfer them into private residences. However, there's a big however here. The time, money, and energy, no one will do it. You won't do it. So that means either Uncle Joe Biden is going to write a big check to New York City and say, here's all the money, more debt that we're going to make. We're going to go from 37 trillion to 45 trillion, or what we're going to go to. Here's $1 trillion, fix it. That probably is going to happen because there's no other. It's that or the city goes under, right? And I think what's probably going to happen, the first issue probably is Illinois goes under first. Illinois probably goes into receivership first. When that happens, the federal government just takes over, absorbs its debt, and just takes it over like a bankruptcy. Other states will follow behind, but Illinois will be first. New York, that might happen in New York City. It's possible. But I think the federal government will just write a check and bail New York City out because there's no other answer. That bubble is going to explode probably this year or next year. Okay. So when it explodes, I think Uncle Joe just write a big check.
Okay. Do you like Charizard, or what is your favorite Pokemon?
I'm too old for that. I don't know Pokemon at all. The last card game that I played that I enjoyed was Magic the Gathering, and I'm an old school Magic the Gathering guy. Like my set is really old from like the 90s. So I have I have like first, second, third edition cards that like no one ever. Yes, I can play type. For those I can play type 1 Magic the Gathering. That's the last thing I had. I don't really know Pokemon at all.
All right. Let me find some good questions here. This is a good one. What is the Libertarian What is the Libertarian Party policy on reparations?
I don't know. That's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't think there is one. Yeah, I don't think
Libertarians don't have a policy on that. They don't.
Yeah, I don't really think any because I mean you got to be real. It's not going to happen. I mean, people can have their fantasies. It's not.
No, there are ways you can do it. It can be done. I had a policy of reparations a long time ago. I still have it. Right there, you can make a policy of reparations. Of course, you can, and you can make it even libertarian. You can. Depends how you look at it. Right there is an argument for it, and the argument is the government created the problem, so the government has to repair it. Right. So there's an argument for it. Some people don't like it, and that goes back to the facts feelings thing. People don't like reparations for Black people. That's true. They don't like it. Doesn't mean you can't make an argument for it. Of course you could. The Germans are still paying the Jews from this Holocaust. The Native Americans got reparations. The Japanese got reparations. So and by the way, slave owners got reparations for losing their slaves. So America gave money to the slave owners for losing their slaves as reparations. So there's an argument for it. The question is, do you think it will actually happen? And can you do it in a libertarian way? There's a couple ways you could do it. One of them is you could sell federal lands, saying that, assuming that you're someone who thinks federal lands are valid, and not all libertarians believe that. But if you believe that, you could sell federal lands to give money to only descendants of slaves, right? African descendants of slaves. I'm sorry, American descendants of slaves. You could do that if you wanted. That's one thing you could do. So that's one option. You could do something. Someone brought it up the other day where you could, for a certain amount of time, say that no African descendants of slaves pay federal taxes for a certain number of time, right? So no federal taxes for whatever, 20 years or something, whatever that number is. So there are ways you could do it. It's up to you. You could decide if you wanted to. There's an argument for it. That's why, but I don't think anyone's really been straight on this is the thing. So I don't think there is a libertarian answer for it, but you could argue for it. You can find a way.
All right. Question from Mick James. What is your favorite movie that was filmed in New York? I would expand that to TV show. If you want to throw like Law and Order or something in there, you could.
Probably The Godfather.
Oh, good one.
Probably The Godfather. I would probably say that. Yeah.
I was thinking.
And when it comes to campy movies, The Warriors from the 70s.
Somebody was talking about that earlier. They come out and play. That's a movie. It's like, you can watch it over and over.
Yes.
What a ridiculous. Yeah. Did you grow up in any of that? You were young and in New York.
I did. I lived in the Bronx during that time. Of course.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
So you're right there. Yes. Was there any? Wow. What the question was I was going to say about this? So are you a big Yankees fan? Or what's your sports affiliate?
Of course I am.
Okay.
Absolutely. I grew up across the street from Yankee Stadium.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yep. 161st Street.
So you were there when they tore it down. You were there when they tore it down to build a new one, and then you were there when they tore it down. The reason
why I became a Yankees fan, a Giants fan, is because one year the Giants played in Yankee Stadium.
Yep. Right before
they left. Like 75, maybe something like that in that area. I forgot when it was in the early 70s. They actually played in Yankee Stadium. So yes. And I remember the old. I've seen 3 Yankee Stadiums. I saw the original, and then the one they had after that, and now they have the new one, which is actually in a separate spot.
All right, the house. I was there at the second one. I was there in 2008. I went there. I was in New Jersey, and we took the train from Hamilton up to, I think it's Grand Central, wherever the fuck it was. And then there was another train that went from there to the Bronx. And man, we're talking about the subway. There was a lot of rats at the bottom of it. I mean, you can't get away from that, but man, you just looked down and they were like having a party, dude. It was pretty wild.
Yeah. I'm still a Yankee fan. I still wear a Yankee cap almost every day.
Okay. What's your football team you like?
Giants.
That's why I got it right. I brought out the Jeremy Shockey jersey.
Yes, I saw it. You didn't see it. I saw it.
Yeah. Shockey that's a vintage. I bought that for a fantasy draft back in 01. Because I used to buy a new jersey every fantasy draft. That was my thing. Because I would get them off eBay or whatever. But I think that one I actually bought at the store. So that's cool, man. Yeah, if you get to see Jeremy Shockey, tell him me to Captain just, I think Captain's just cranky, man. American sports suck. Me and Captain talk all the time. He's a really good guy. The only thing we disagree on is the football soccer thing. I mean, it's football, dude. It's it's America. You want to say it's American football? It's football. And I don't care about the rest of the world. I know he's gonna be like, more people watch it than any other sport. Dude, football's badass. It's just awesome, man. You get high, you tailgate, and wait. If the Browns go to London and have a game over there, wait till that tailgate, bro. It's gonna be badass, dude. Man, it's gonna be fun.
I don't know what sport he thinks is better than American sports. I don't know what sport he's thinking about.
He's probably thinking about Premier League. He's a big Liverpool fan.
Hold on, let me see if I can get what we said. Is that one when they kick that ball, when those skinny guys kick that ball around and then they fall on the floor and act like babies?
Right, kind of like LeBron, but on a kick around basis. Yeah.
No, not like, yeah, exactly, yes. But they all like cry and pretend like they got hurt. That's the one. I thought it was acting. Is that actually a sport? I didn't know that. I thought that was a sport. I apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
All right, Doofer has a question. What is his thoughts on the SAS versus Marines? I don't know if it means like a death battle or whatever.
Are you kidding me? Marines all the way. The SAS is specialized. Regular Marines are stronger than SAS. Now, you ask a Marine recon, unstoppable. Who trains Navy SEALs? Marines. Who trains Navy officers? Marines. Who guards embassies? Marines. Right? Marines. Absolutely Marines. Hardest core there is, not even close. The only place in the entire American military where an enlisted man can become an officer off the bat is if he happens to be the senior person in an embassy across the world. Marine. Who guards the president? Marines. Marines guard everybody. Marines are the ones. Yes, they are the coolest ones. They're toughest. And with the exception of French Foreign Legion, they have the highest casualty rate. And you may say, wait a minute, is that a good thing? Yes, because we stay and fight. All the others back and run. They run. In fact, it happened. Perfect example that happened in Kosovo. No, Yugoslavian War. I think might have been Bosnia. Marine unit, artillery unit gets caught in an ambush. And the guys who were fighting there immediately thought they'll just surrender. The Marines charged the ambush and broke the ambush and captured the people who ambushed them. That is the Marine Corps. Sorry.
Yeah, me personally, I was in the Air Guard, so like I like being in the air conditioning. So like when I was in Iraq, they had Skype back then. Actually, I would Skype with the wife back here at the house, and it got to the point. This is funny because there was nothing going on. It was 2011. The war ended like 2 months after I was there. And we got to the point we had nothing new to talk about. I talked to her more in Iraq than I did when I was over here.
Wow. Wow.
And I always joke because my daughter was on one of the Skype calls. She came in crying. And my buddy Merle, he was in charge of the section there. I don't know what the fuck they called it, section chief or whatever. Him and another guy came running in. They thought somebody brought a baby into the air terminal. So they were, yeah. So I was like, no, it's just my daughter crying on a Skype. So I always tell Nikki that she's like Iraq war stories. It's great.
Got it. He says, someone's asking about the devil dogs. Yes, that's true. Devil dogs, yes, that comes from the German Teufelshunden, which means devil dogs. We got that name in the Battle of Bella Woods during World War I, because the Germans couldn't believe how aggressive the Marines were. We kept charging, kept fighting, and they called us devil dogs.
Hey, Marine, I got some really good friends in the Marines just because we bond on the party thing. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a place for people who work hard. You know what I mean? I'm not one of them. I'm kind of lazy. I like yapping. I'm like you, Larry. I like talking. You know, we're talkers.
I do.
I don't like doing things. I mean, I don't mind doing things. I like to walk to the car and go to the store and get weed and shit like that. But like, I'm not I'm not gonna go out in the backyard and fucking, drain the water. I just don't care. I drain the water. Where's it gonna go? To the front yard? It's gonna cost me money either way. It's just gonna sit there. I bought a swamp. I got to deal with it. You know what I mean? But Marine Corps people, the party vibe, dude. Those guys party, bro. I love it. Yep. The Marine Corps, I know the Marine Corps birthday is like November 10th. The only reason I know that is because there's 3, 4, 5, 6 guys at work. They would go out after work every day. And the Marine Corps birthday, it's Marine Corps birthday. Let's go. I was like, fuck it, party. I'd be the only Air Force guy in a group of fucking 9 Marines just because I really fuck with that party ethos, dude. It's badass.
Right. I like it. It's good.
Vanessa was in the Air Force back in probably the same time you were there. She got out in 96. That's good
Nice.
stuff. Good stuff. Bear with me, guys. It's taking a second for me to pull up the questions. As you know, I like being smoking. Doof wants reparations to the British. I don't know if that's going to be possible. Well, what is your take on U.S.-Brit relations? I mean, I think I always have random predictions on this stuff. I think it's inevitable that we're going to have some kind of Eurozone. You know how they got the Eurozone or whatever? We're going to have something like that. But with
the Brits don't take the Euros, though. The Brits take the pound still.
Oh, no, but you know how they have the European Union? We're going to have something like that, but with the Western nations like Canada, UK, New Zealand, Australia.
You mean the English-speaking nations?
Yeah, English-speaking nations for like freedom of travel, defense, shit like that. I think there's going to be a nice union at some point because
I don't think so.
You don't think?
I don't think so at all. No, not at all. Canada is very different than America right now. While I love Britain, I've been to London before. I haven't. My daughter actually traveled the whole place, like from southern England all the way to Scotland, and so I've seen like the whole area. I've only seen London. There's one place I've been there, but it's different. It's not America, right? It's different. I don't think we're ready for that kind of connection. Even Australia is different. Australia had horrible lockdowns, right? I mean, Canada's different. I mean, we speak the same language, but we are different. Right? We're not the same. Canada's different than America. UK is different than America. UK is different than Canada. Australia's different. Even New Zealand's different. I mean, we're just different. I don't see it happening. Not now, at least. I mean, maybe one day. It's not now.
I think that the weed, I think this is the key, Larry. I think the weed is going to be the
thing
you're
that right.
brings it all together. Because I got people in the chat I've smoked weed with over the UK. It might not have been totally legal, but you got to burn down a fucking few orphanages to get the freeway through sometimes. You know what I mean? This freeway of freedom that we got.
You have to burn down a few orphanages to get the freeway through. Okay.
Right. That's my favorite line. But you got so in this freeway of freedom we got going here with all I keep looking over here for some reason at this goddamn Windex bottle. I need to look at the camera. For this freedom of freeway we got going over here, in order to bond all these Western nations together, I think it's going to be inevitable. And I think the thing that's going to push over the top is that we have post-lockdown, none of the economies are doing nearly as good as the United States are. Canada's in flux. The UK is facing all these high energy rates.
UK's in trouble good financially. Yes, UK's in trouble. The one who's doing decently right now, believe it or not, is Australia. Australia's doing okay. America is on a cusp of a complete breakdown when it comes to our commercial real estate. Canada's a disaster in general. I mean, their policies have just been terrible and everything. They're having social issues, their healthcare issues. They have a lot of issues too. They're in trouble also. The UK also is in trouble. Most of us are in trouble right now. We're not in a very good spot right now. Doesn't mean we're going to collapse. I'm not saying we're not going to collapse, but we're not that good right now. And I think there are problems. Probably Australia is probably, and it isn't great, but I think Australia is probably in the best spot right now, financially. I mean, of these countries.
All right. Question from Captain: what reform do you propose for law enforcement agencies? This is a good one.
These are long answers. I don't mind answering them, but they're very long. Most people want me to go, whatever, defund the police or some stupid shit like that. I'm not doing that. The reality of it is there's serious reform required. And I actually had a plan. If I remember the plan I had back in 2018, 2022, so if I can remember all the pieces, I've actually done a police reform video, an entire video on it, but it has to do several things in general. The first one is you want to have cops hold their own liability insurance. What does that mean? Like any of the professional doctors have liability insurance, lawyers have professional cops should have liability insurance. Why? Because if the cop is a bad cop, right, then he will use his insurance to pay for his problems. Why should a city or a town or whoever who's hired the police force pay for the cop screwing up, right? The insurance company will pay. His premiums will go up. He will now be incentivized to not screw up. Does that make sense? You incentivize. Right now, cops don't incentive not screw up. Doesn't matter, right? But instead, he now will have incentive to not screw up. The good cops will have low insurance. Awesome. Bad cops will have high insurance. And if you're really bad, so eventually they actually won't bother to insure you, in which case now you can't be a cop. Now you might go, well, the unions will get in the way. They probably will. So you allow the unions to be insurance brokers. This way, the unions can get money from insurance as an insurance brokers, and then the unions can spend their time, which they should be doing, helping out the 90% of the good cops not defending the 10% of the bad cops, which right now most unions across America spend most of the time defending the bad guys and not helping the good guys. And that's not just cops, that's most unions. So if you incentivize them with insurance, that now the more good cops they have paying insurance, more money they make, now the unions are incentivized to help the good guys and let the bad guys go. So they'll begin self-policing. That's how you can start with that aspect of it. But that isn't enough. That's just one piece of it. You also want to end qualified immunity. Qualified immunity, not just for cops, but for all. Right now, people don't realize, they think qualified immunity is for cops. Qualified immunity is for everybody. What do I mean by that? If you are a school administrator of a government-funded school, you have qualified immunity. I'm not joking. If you're a senator, qualified immunity. You should not have that. You're a human like all the rest of us. You should have the same problems that we have, the same issues like all of us. No difference whatsoever, right? That's really the issue. You also want to end civil asset forfeiture. Civil asset forfeiture incentivizes cops to hunt in bad places. Civil asset forfeiture is what makes cops by default racist. You might go, what? Are you saying cops become racist? Cops do become racist. It's a true thing. I know many cops. My father wasn't in law enforcement. They become racist. I don't think any cop who joins is any more or less racist than anybody else in the world. They're just people trying to do a job. That's what cops are. I don't hate cops. I don't worship cops. They're just people like us, right? So they join. But what are they told? They're told, go and get stuff. What do you mean? We got to pay. You are a profit center. Cops and law enforcement is a profit center. So I got to get stuff. Well, who am I going to get stuff from? Well, I can't get into rich neighborhoods. Why? 1, they don't carry cash. 2, they have lawyers. 3, they give money to the politicians who run them. So I can't go there. It doesn't make any sense. I'm going to get myself killed. I've got to instead go to the poor neighborhoods, immigrant neighborhoods, people who don't trust banks, people who are in the black market. Why? They carry a bunch of cash and they won't fight me because they all have records. So I can do that. So by default, most of those people are melanated beings. Most of those people are brown or black. Most of them are. So what happens? Well, some cop who came on the beat, like any other guy or gal, now finds himself constantly attacking people who are brown or black and taking their stuff. Which is not thinking. Everybody brown and black is a bad guy. And you might go, wait, is that really true? Yes. How do I know that? Because even black cops are racist. That's why. Black cops who spend time doing this also think the same way. How do I know? My father was black and a cop. That's how I know. His friends were black and cops. That's how I know. I remember one of his friends who used to walk me around the Bronx. He would point at people and tell me what crimes he think they were going to commit. He had prejudged everybody. I'm not joking. Be like, yeah, that guy, I bet he's doing this. That guy's doing that. He'd be out there doing all that shit. Yes, absolutely. So yeah, you have to also end qualified immunity. It's a critical piece to end qualified immunity on top of it. There's many things you got to do, but that's a couple. Next, at a local level, you want to break your police force up into 4 different spots. Right now, we have too many cops doing too many things. It's unfair to cops. And again, it may sound like I'm anti-cop. I'm not at all. It's unfair to cops. Cops are doing too many things. How can I get some guy, he's got to do everything from social worker to stop a guy who's shooting somebody to a traffic stop. He's going to do everything. That's not fair. You break your cops up into 4 different groups. Social working, which is one part. Active policing, which is another part. Jesus Christ, I gotta remember the name of it. Things like, quality of life issues like noise, pollution, and stuff like that, right? And then, of course, addiction issues. And each of them is a separate division that they're in with people from the community to make community policing. And you can't have someone in active policing more than 2 years. What does that mean? And that means right now, if I'm a military guy, I'm in the Marine Corps. You don't keep me in the Marine Corps. You don't keep me in the front line that long. The most you'll keep a guy, Americans keep a guy in the front line is 15 months. That's the max. It's usually less than that, but that's the max. After that, you're rotated out. But we keep a cop on the beat for 10 years. And we wonder why he's not scared. And we wonder why he's not broken. And we wonder why he's got suicide, ideation. And we wonder why he's divorced. We kept the guy on the front line for 10 years. And you might go, well, why didn't they get off? They're tough guys. They don't want to get off. Marines don't want to leave the front line. They talk tough. I'm now stay here forever. They talk trash. They went off too. Cops are the same thing. So you give a cop 2 years on the front line, and then he has to rotate off for a year. He has to do, social work or family court or whatever. You rotate him off for a year, then put him back in the front line again. You do that, you'll have better cops, smarter cops. You can fix it. It just takes time and energy.
I think that where a lot of people, back to the civil forfeiture thing, if you want a great video on that, when this is over and when we're done talking to everybody, that John Oliver special on it. He did a great one on last week tonight. Very good one on that. But the federal, there should be the combat example you provided was great, because like if you think about like if a troop in the military does something in the theater of operations or whatever, there's no, like you said, qualified immunity. There's a system they follow. So if we did, put that military mindset towards the policing, I know that sounds ridiculous, militarizing the police, but I mean, we're not talking about, militarizing weaponry. We're talking about, thought processes and social constructs and all that. If you do that, that ends, like you said, the qualified immunity, and you get standardization across the states. I mean, you go to Arkansas, it's one place different than Ohio, than Indiana and Michigan. New York, everything's, if I had a gun on me and an ounce of weed on me in Ohio right now, which are probably both legal. Actually, I don't know if that's exactly legal. But if I had separately, say I had a gun on me, I just walked out of the state. By the time I got to New York City, there's 18 different laws I'm going to hit. Same thing with the weed. There needs to be some kind of reciprocity. So like states' rights are good to a point, but it's like, you have to have some
but
kind
if you just stop with the possession laws, it doesn't matter. That's the issue. The core is possession is not a crime. So I don't care what weapon you have on you. Did you do something with that weapon? You did? That's a crime. And it doesn't matter what state you're in. If you threaten somebody with a gun, a bat, or a knife, that's a crime in every state. And it should be. I'm not happy about that. Good. Cops should come get you. Don't threaten people, right? But I'm walking around with one. What do you care? What does it matter what state I'm in? Who cares? When you say that, you are acknowledging that your life is owned by the state, not by you. Can you defend your own life or not? In New York State, the answer is no. Can you defend your own property or not? In New York State, the answer is no. The Second Amendment in New York State is the second suggestion. It's what it is. The second suggestion. It's not the Second Amendment. Second suggestion.
I got a buddies who live up there. I got one buddy who's he's a staunch. He's probably he's one of those, like you said, they say they're libertarians, but they're really not. He's a very hardcore conservative, in my opinion. But he's like that with the gun laws all the time. He's like, dude, I can't get anything up here. It's ridiculous with the magazine restrictions. That's the one thing about the Brady bill that I never got was the magazine restrictions. It makes no sense to me. I mean, why would you limit that to 10? I mean, I don't know.
Why does it matter if you don't do anything with it? Why do you care? That's my point. I keep saying the same thing. I won't even entertain the concept of possession being a crime. I don't care if your magazine has 5, 10. I don't care if you carry a bullet in your hand. Why do I care? If you're not doing anything with it, I don't care. Carry whatever you want. Are you rushing at people going, I'm going to get you? That's a threat. Go to jail. No problem. Don't threaten people. That's the issue.
Randy says, if you see me with clothes on, I have a gun. If you see me naked, probably still have a gun, but he's in Texas. And I've seen Randy operate. Randy rocks some overalls, and he's definitely got a gun on him at all times, man. There's no doubt about that. All right, now, do you think a weed-first politician will ever be able to make it? Or are we going to have to wait till like a bunch of, we got to be honest here.
Yeah, I do not think weed first. No, because for most Americans, the vast majority of Americans, weed is not the number one issue. Can we have a very pro-weed president? 100%. I was pro-weed. I was on Joe Rogan. I said regulate it like onions.
No. When I say pro, we'll get to the onions comment because I love that. I actually got that in here. When I say weed first, I mean like somebody like me, like a stoner who's an open weed guy. And I don't talk about weed all the time. I don't talk about.
Yes. I think you could 100%, but you have to be able to make weed not your number one issue. But yes. I think someone who is a weed guy absolutely could do it. I think 100%. Gary Johnson smoked weed. Well, he didn't smoke. He hated smoking because he's a health nut. He only took edibles. But Gary Johnson did edibles, and he got the most votes any libertarian ever. And he was an edible guy.
I voted for Gary Johnson in 2012.
He was an edible guy. He did not like smoking. He's a health nut, so he would never smoke it.
No, let me ask you, do you smoke or do you do edibles?
I don't. I am the squarest guy you're going to find. The only drug I use is caffeine.
Okay.
However, to be very forward, just because I don't do it doesn't mean I have any issue. I think weed, I think cannabis in general should be treated like a plant with one exception. At the retail level, you may buy it if you are 18 years or older. In every other way, plant. That's it. It would allow, in New York State specifically, farmers to have craft grows. It would give them a great cash crop. It would allow people who are out of prison to have a business model without horrible taxation, without horrible licenses. Absolutely, 100%.
Beautiful. Now, you just say you were John Joe Rogan. Is that correct? I didn't know that.
I was. Yep. Google Larry Sharpe and Joe Rogan. I was on Joe Rogan.
What
Joe
year?
Rogan, Glenn. 2018 when I ran for governor.
Okay. Was it? Did you? Well, I was going to ask you. Because you don't. So you could be around weed smoke, right? You could like tolerate.
I don't care.
Like if I was like, hey Larry, come over here. We're going to go to the Ramada and we're going to smoke some weed. Well, I'm going to smoke some weed.
I do events in smoke shops.
Okay.
I do events in smoke shops. Yeah, I don't care. No judgment. I don't care. You do you, man. If you're not hurting anybody, I don't care. You do you.
You said to treat weed like onions. I always thought Spike said it. And then for those wondering how I got Larry on the show, I always thought Spike Cohen said it. And I was on, when I Chase Oliver, who was on a month ago, when I said on Twitter, Larry said that. And I said, oh, you got to hook me up with Larry. It sounds like a fun guy. And that worked out phenomenal. So that's where I got that going. But whatever.
You know how I did that? It's a true story. I was in Western New York, and in some parts of Western New York, we grow onions. And someone asked me, well, how are we going to deal with, cannabis, blah, 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 blah. And I thought we got to treat it like a vegetable. I was like a plant, like a cash crop, whatever, I don't care. And because I knew they treat onions there, I said, regular like onions. I just pulled it out of the air because I happened to be in the area where the farmers happen to grow onions. That's where that came from.
Okay. Now, in your opinion, and I can give, but that was legendary, by the way. It's a great fucking line. I'm gonna give my opinion first. I'm gonna let you, chime in on this.
I'm gonna have to bail in a few minutes, my friend.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll run it up till. Can we go to the top 7:30 and then call it a then?
Sure.
Cool. All right, cool. So we're gonna go to the 2 hour mark, guys, and we'll call it. Now, say weed is legal federalized. There's gonna be, in my opinion, it's inevitable at some point. Might not be tomorrow, might not be 2030, but at some point, federal legalization is inevitable. And along with the onion line, I mean, we're probably going to end up with some kind of federal tax. I don't know. Hopefully not. But if say there was,
of course we will. Oh my God, there's going to, of course. New York State is the perfect example of this. New York State created the Office of Cannabis Management. What a joke. What an embarrassment. What a joke. Ugh. But yes, of course we will.
So if say in in our perfect libertarian utopia in the United States we got going here, say that there's no tax on weed at all across the board in all states. What in your onion example implies? What do you think would happen in an example like that? And I give an example I know because like I go to Michigan to get weed. Some people say it's illegal, taking across lines, whatever. 90% of the fucking cars in the parking lot from Ohio, they know what they're doing up in Michigan. But like the price has dropped. Like I used to pay $100 for an ounce of shake. Now it's like $20. And it's like 75 to 80% cheaper than it used to be because Michigan has very liberal grow license policies, whatever. So the prices freaking plummets. What is that what's going to happen across the nation? I mean, what do you think in this example, an ounce of weed's going to cost in 5-10 years if that happens?
No. I think as a general rule, the price of weed will go up because the government is in the pockets, is in bed with pharma. Now, the reason why they haven't done it federally yet is because pharma hasn't found a way to dominate the market yet. When pharma figures out how to dominate the market, that is when weed will be legal across the country. That is what's happening. You might, it doesn't make any sense. What are you talking about? Why wouldn't they do it already? Because pharma hasn't figured out how to make money off it yet. In New York State, it took so long because we had to get big business to set up all their LLCs so they could buy up all the farmland and put all the farmers out of business. I'm not joking. That's what's happening in New York right now. They had to wait. So big business has to be able to crush the small guy. Once they're ready for that, you're going to find absolutely, you will find it. It'll be legal. It will be federally legal. And when that happens, the price will actually go up, except for the black market. The black market will still exist. This way, we can still arrest people, still put people in jail, still use law enforcement as a profit center, which you have to keep doing. We'll keep doing that. And then weed price will actually go up. It will go up because pharma will control it and will control the pricing.
So I don't know. This is one I might have to disagree a little bit because I think weed's a very communal drug. I got a lot of hope for weed. Like I think, with my Western Connection example, and like BC's saying here, he's in British Columbia and they got mail order. So like they can just order if there's a shop in Saskatchewan he wants to get and bring it up to his house in his palatial estate in the fucking mountains of British Columbia, he could do that, and it's fucking pennies on a dollar. Whatever. Just keep it dropping.
Yes, but I'm telling you, it's not federal yet. That's my point. I think when it's federal, whatever the price is, if the price is $20, whatever the price is, once it's federally legal, when that happens, I think the price will start to go back up.
No, the Canada example though, I mean, because they have their health care and it's legal there, so it's both federal there. You know what I mean? I don't know.
but they also have federally run health care.
That's true. Well, what do you think is going to happen to healthcare? Do you think it's just going to? I think, because I work for the government, and the bureaucracy just begets bureaucracy. They try to spend their way out of problems. That's why we got the $30-some million deficit. What do you think? So, in my opinion, it's just whatever Medicaid is now is going to be the standard, and we're just going to have to deal with it. Because government. Do you think that's going to be the case?
I think eventually we go to some form of Medicare for all, which I think is a terrible idea. But they don't listen to me. But there will be some, but they will not outlaw private insurance, because I see it right now in New York City. In New York City, if you're wealthy, you don't care about insurance. You don't care about Obamacare. You don't care, because you pay for all your doctors privately, right? You swipe your credit card or write with a check, whatever. You pay for your doctors privately. You go to private doctors. You don't care. And the best doctors in New York City, they don't take insurance. They don't take any insurance at all. They'll give you a receipt. Good luck. So that's all they do. I'm not joking. And for the Cadillac plans of insurance by many of the executives and companies, they have a Cadillac plan which will reimburse, right? So that's why private doctors will give a receipt so they get some kind of reimbursement for their insurance. They'll get that. But the average Joe Schmo, no, you don't. You get whatever's there. You get whatever is the equivalent. I think they're going to give something like Medicare for all for everybody. But when the elites say Medicare for all, what they mean is Medicare for y'all. They're not taking Medicare. They're going to their own private doctors. They want you guys to go to the Medicare doctors. And they're going to make sure all the best doctors are private so they can have them. You get all the doctors who are left over. That's what's going to happen.
I mean, a lot of people harp on the VA, but I think anybody who harps on the VA at this point hasn't been there since the 80s, or they just listen to their grandpa talk about it. The VA has a very good preventative model. I mean, they're involved in their...
The VA is really good at two things. One, putting people in college. Very good at that. Number two, I have a physical, like I broke my leg. I broke my arm. Very good. Everything else is mediocre at best. And when it comes to mental health care, bad.
Oh, yeah. I think the VA, in that aspect, I think they're kind of handcuffed with the weed thing. And that's where I think...
yes,
I think
they are. You're right.
I think that's where it's going to eventually become legal federally, is through the veterans stuff, because I mean, think of all the we all know veterans, we all know people who are dealing with stuff, and how many whatever they get, what is it, prescribe, you know what I mean, when they get medicine and shit like that, they just get so many pills, and you shouldn't have to take 15 pills a day just to exist. There's no way, dude, no way. Just smoke a little weed, you're fine half the time. So it's like, I think once that and that's why we go back to the weed thing. At the end of the day, it's all about weed, right? And we go back to weed. That's why I think that the government paying for some weed, paying for some mental health, because the back end savings, Larry, is just so good. It really is. If you have people out there who are not depressed and they're happy and high and shit like that, weed's got to take 50%.
You're assuming that the government cares about any of that. If it did, we wouldn't be in a spot we're in now. Most people who are elite in the government now, they recognize that America right now is basically ancient Rome in the dying days. They know that Rome is burning, and they want to grift while the grifting is good. Most of them know that. Why else would we be $35 trillion in debt and spending more? Why else would New York State be losing 300,000 people every single year and do nothing about it? Why else do we make sure that we actually have our infrastructure is collapsing and there's nothing in sight? You just saw that bridge collapse by you the other day, right? Last year, whenever that thing collapsed, right? All the time. Yes, they don't care. If they cared, you'd be right. They care about grifting. Why in the world would they accept that some of the largest financial institutions in the country are buying up all of our real estate to ensure America becomes renters? Why would they do that? Knowing that people now can't buy a house. That if you are a Gen Zer, the odds of you owning a house are slim to none. That we are now creating a rental mentality within all of our people. Why would they not do anything when they can watch in every community in this country, every one of them, watch the mom and pop stores go away and franchisees come in every fucking place in this country? Where I was in the Bronx, there was a pizza shop when I was a kid called Joe's Pizza, run by a guy from Italy. He gave it to his daughter, called it Paula's Pizza. Now, it's a Subway owned by a guy who lives in Connecticut. That's the South Bronx. That's all over. You go to small towns in America, oh my God. Small towns in America, they have like 4 different ideas. One, they are owned, that you work for the one big thing, right? You work for like the college or the prison or the Walmart, right? That, or you work for the government in some other way, like the school system or something. Or sadly, you're on the dole in some way, or you're in the black market.
Yeah, you're selling weed to the guys doing that, or
yes, you're selling weed in the black market. Yes, or you're selling your labor, or you're selling your body, or something else.
You had that guy from Arkansas on the other day in your show. Good show, by the way, the other day. And he was saying, what was the ratio he gave of people on the government? It was like 60 to 80% of some.
Yes, 60%. Yes.
I said if you're born in Arkansas, he said, you got 60% chance at some point in your life of getting some kind of government assistance benefit, and not like a VA benefit. You're talking like WIC or SNAP, something like that, which is a wild stat. It really is, dude. It really is. All right, we got a couple more minutes, and we're gonna let the beautiful Mr. Larry Sharpe come back. You're gonna have to come back, dude, because you're one of the people love you. They love you. We got 26, 27, 28 people watching. This is great. It's awesome.
I'm glad.
At Larry Sharpe on all the platforms, by the way, if you're looking for him.
That's correct. Larry Sharpe is my handle on all the things. I'm on everything. Just type in Larry Sharpe, I'm there.
All right, so gun to head. I hate using that analogy, but gun to head. Who's the candidate for Libertarians in 2024?
Who do I think is going to make it?
Yeah.
Right now, I think Lars Mapstead is the candidate.
Okay.
That's who I think. And the reason why is because how the Libertarian Party works is they have it's a ranked choice voting, basically. So I don't think that the 2 front runners, I think right now, are actually Michael Rectenwald and Chase Oliver. I don't think either of them has over 50%. That's my gut. I don't know that, but that's my gut. When that happens, the second round will happen and no one has the max. So usually everybody's second choice becomes the person that wins. That's what happened in 2020 when Jo Jorgensen won. She was nobody's real first choice. I mean, she was, but not many. She was everybody's second choice. When you can't get someone, you wind up getting the second choice. I think Lars Mapstead's almost everybody's second choice. That's why I think he wins.
Okay. And what is, do you think RFK Jr. is going to join the party? And what's your personal take?
No, I do not think RFK Jr. will be a libertarian. I am very happy he is running. And people say, why, if you're not libertarian? Because we have talked about ballot access and contingent elections more, and third parties more in this last year than every single libertarian in the past 50 years combined. He has opened up the door for so many of us. I'm so happy he is running. Again, not libertarian. I don't care. Very happy he's running. Glad. So he has made, if he even makes, he's the Ross Perot of this era, except now we're ready to build infrastructure. So when he breaks a hole, well, and to be forward, I'm a libertarian, but Greens will also benefit because Greens libertarians have infrastructure now prepared to take advantage, if that makes any sense.
All right.
If he breaks a hole, we will be able to build infrastructure and follow him through, both Greens and libertarians. So very happy he's running, but no, he's not libertarian.
Okay. And do you, what do you think his percentage of the vote will be nationally?
I don't know. It's a tough one. Generally speaking, you get half of whatever you poll. So his highest he's polled, for what I remember, is about 20 some odd percent. So my guess is a little over 10%. My guess. Okay. But to be forward with you, he does not have to win the popular vote, and he probably won't. How our system works is he has to make sure that nobody gets 270 electoral votes. He does that, it gets thrown to the Congress has to pick. And in that case, he could be the compromise candidate. That's happened twice before in American history. Thomas Jefferson was elected that way, and so was John Quincy Adams, 1800 and 1824, respectively. That's called the 12th Amendment. If anyone cares, if any constitutional people there, 12th Amendment outlines how that works.
All right, and one question before we go: Brandon Herrera versus Tony Gonzalez. Who do you have for Texas Republican?
How would I know that I live in New York?
Hey, so he doesn't know already. So there you go. All right, Mr. Larry Sharpe, thank you so much, sir. It's an honor, like you said, at Larry Sharpe on all platforms. In the description below, I linked his YouTube channel. Sub to him. He's got a lot of cool guests. His chat's popping, so it's a good time. We're definitely going to have you up again if you don't mind. And you'd have a great evening, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Have a good one.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.